You are good to go, Lois.
Okay. Welcome everyone to the August 11th meeting of the Library Advisory Board. I am calling this meeting to order. It's 5:33 p.m. So our first item of business is approval of minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Catherine?
Yes, on page 2 of the minutes, about 3/4 of the way down the paragraph that starts Catherine, there's a reference on line 1 and 3 to consulate, which should read consultant. And then under action items, following through from the previous paragraph, there actually was a motion made and passed. And I think that needs to be acknowledged. So I suggest the following language. A motion was made and seconded to communicate the following issues from lab to be addressed by the Strategic Plan Steering Committee, and then what should be listed are the issues that we discussed at the last meeting and agreed on. And that includes just in bulleted form, branch libraries or co-location is one, Monday hours is another, collection development policy, fines, budget enhancement, and wild ideas. And then a final sentence that reads, the motion passed unanimously. Does that sound right to everybody?
Yeah, that was what happened, and we need to have that in the minutes because it was a motion and it was passed. I would like to make a correction also on page 2, where under the heading July meeting proposal, I did not make a motion. I would like it to read, at this time, Lois decided to not hold a July lab meeting. That would be the corrected language. I did not make a motion because if I did, we would have had to vote on it, and we didn't. Are there any other corrections? Francine?
You're muted. Lower left-hand corner.
There we go. Okay.
Great.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
So I would like to say that the section about Eric Schumann's presentation be amended to read after the word club in the first sentence, has met monthly September to May at Lux Auditorium for 20 years, educating the community on peoples, destinations, and cultures from all 7 continents. Meetings are free and open to the public. All participation is by volunteers. There is no tax designation for the group as there is no income. The club recently received notice that the club's mission was not in line with the mission of the library, and the category of sponsored organizations was eliminated. The club, which regularly has 30 to 60 attendees, would not fit in the small plaza or in the fee-free small plaza or study rooms. The policy change, furthermore, will not permit pre-scheduled monthly recurring meetings.
Okay, Francine, was that what he said at the meeting?
Yes, I reviewed the, before I wrote this, I reviewed his presentation.
Okay. Would you be willing to send that addition or that correction to Clarissa so she can get it in there
That's good.
correctly?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Are there any other additions or corrections to the minutes? All right. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I move to accept the minutes
As corrected, correct?
as
Yeah.
corrected.
Is there a second?
I second.
All right, all in favor, do a thumbs up or do something on your computer. Looks like everybody did it. All right, great. Thanks, everybody. Was there any public comment, Clarissa or Sarah? Sarah Straw?
I did not see any.
Okay,
We didn't
Clarissa, did you
receive
see
any.
any? Yeah.
No emails, no nothing.
okay. We're going to move on. We're going to do something a little different. We're going to do a check-in to, I just think that we have some newer members who haven't even seen the faces of some of our members. And I would like to ask for people to turn on their cameras so we can see their faces unless they absolutely refuse or for some reason don't want to. If you don't have a camera, I think Sarah wants to know about that because there might be something way to remedy that. So let's just do a check-in. And what I'd like is you introduce yourself. I'd like you to say something fun that you've done this summer. Keep it short. We don't want, you know, a 30-minute thing about, whoops, your trip to Tahiti or something. So I will, and then you know, say the name of the next person. So I'm Lois Stark. My pronouns are she and her, and I have spent many lovely days reading on my deck and spending time with my son and my husband, and it's been great. So Catherine, how about you go next?
Okay, because I can't travel too much, I've taken advantage of exploring the region I live in and just got back from a great camping trip at Mount Rainier and hiked the most spectacular trail of my lifetime, the Skyline Loop Trail, and highly recommend it to everybody. Gretchen.
Okay, I cannot turn on my camera, but normally it works, but it's not going on tonight. I have had two wonderful weeks in the library and in helping Eileen Cotter Howell and Eric West look for best places to put the art collection all around the library. And so I'm having over a 2-week period, we would go every other day or so, bring out the art that was being stored in Laux Auditorium and decide on the placement of every single piece. And then putting everything back into Laux for the evening because the workers, the construction folks were still around. So for the safety of the artwork, we needed to put it back in a safe place. But in that 2-week period, working, and this is repeat for some of you, but that it was so refreshing to be in that space. And we'd be tired by the end of the day to the point of having fits of giggles. But the library was so refreshing, and easy to be around. And it was exciting. It was simply exciting to be in that space.
Okay, Gretchen, ask the next person.
Francine.
Hi. So I was excited to go on a camping trip with some friends that we do this every summer to, including Eric Schumann, to Bandon and do some hiking and experience some places like more hiking at Port Orford, which I had not really enjoyed that much before, and some great scenery. and found a fabulous art museum in Port Orford as well. Art, not museum, but store. Okay. And so then next would be Bill. Bill Distat.
Bill, are you there?
You're on mute, Bill.
Okay, there we go. My wife and I swim every day. We don't travel. We read a lot, teach a Bible class at church, make music at church, and we stay home. The end.
Okay.
Michelle.
I think I'm the only Michelle here. So I don't know that Lois intended to include me in this roundtable, but I'm just sort of adjusting to the ever-changing new normal. And I'm very happy to participate and provide advice to the board. So thank you for having me and letting me sit in tonight. And I'm going to, I think, toss this next to Denise.
Okay, hello. Well, it was really nice to be able to go camping with my grandkids because we had not been able to see each other for a good long time, you know, with all of the COVID and the closures and such. And they live in Portland. Did try to go to North Cascades, but went up there and it was closed due to fire. And another campground was closed due to fire that we had gotten into. So yeah, fire closures, the new normal, as you have just said, Michelle. Yeah, but it was great to be able to see the grandkids. That was really fun. Did a lot of kayaking. Thank you. Stephen, I think. Does that sound right?
Hi. I spent a week in the Wallowas and a week camping on Lopez Island in the San Juans and celebrated my grandson's first birthday. So a lot of joy. Let's see. Sarah Bishop, have you gone?
No, but I will. I'm Sarah Bishop, she, her. I got to go home where I grew up, to Ohio, and saw my parents for the first time since the pandemic, and my kids got to see their grandparents for the first time, so that was wonderful.
Is that everybody? Oh, Sarah Straw.
Hi, Sarah, city librarian, she, her, the other Sarah. And I have mostly been working on getting the library finished up and running. And there's still some things to do. In my off time, I had been enjoying the Olympics for the past few weeks and have really gotten into rugby. I think rugby is awesome, and I have no desire to play it because I think I would be immediately have some broken bones, but I am definitely going to become a fan of the local Salem leagues. So.
Great.
Oh, and Sonia, have you gone?
Who?
Sonia. Hi, I'm Sonia Somerville, the teen librarian. My pronouns are she, her. And I too have been working on getting things ready at the new library, but also really had a good time. Very thankful that we reopened here at Broadway, and the chance to serve patrons face-to-face has been pretty delightful.
Well, great. I think that's all of our board. Do you teen people want to participate in this?
Lois, I'll say who I am.
Thanks, Carol.
I'm Carol Veller. I am the president of the board of the Friends of the Salem Public Library, and I attend this meeting as an observer and liaison person. So that's it. Yeah, we're getting ready to move back to the library, so that's been occupying quite a bit of my time too.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I missed you. So, EB, how about what have you been doing this summer? One thing, fun.
I've been mostly camping and hiking and hanging out with friends and stuff.
Great. What about Riley?
I have been enjoying time spending with my family because I'm pretty busy with school most of the year.
Okay, great. All right. Yay, that was a little bit of team building, I hope. So I enjoyed it. Let's move on to the Teen Advisory Board. So Riley and
Lois?
Evie, what?
I apologize, but we didn't hear anything from Clarissa.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Thank you, Denise. Clarissa.
Hi guys, my name's Clarissa. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the staff assistant for the library. And I've just been trying to kind of stay cool this summer with the heat that we've had.
Well, you're always pretty cool, Clarissa, you know, no problem. All right. So did I get everybody? Yay. All right. Take it away, Teen Library, whatever you're called, Advisory Board.
Hi, my name is Evie or Evie or whatever. I use she, they pronouns. I am an 8th grader at Howard Street Charter School. And yeah, I'm for TAB. So the biggest task for the Teen Advisory Board recently has been saying goodbye and choosing new members. Both of our 2021 to 2022 co-chairs graduated this year. So we had a recognition and farewell to Brisley Hammond Brower, who served on TAB for 7 years, and Bella Ramey, who served for 6 years. We will miss them very, very much. We also received 24 applications from potential new members this year to fill 5 available seats on the Teen Advisory Board. After reviewing applications and interviewing 13 of those applications, we will welcome the following 5 new members to the board in September. Alina Harchenko, 7th grade, Walker Middle School. Simran Pudyal, 7th grade, Judson Middle School. Alexander Marvin, 8th grade, Walker Middle School. Mahalia Williams, 9th grade, North Salem High School. And Lucy Duell, 10th grade, West Salem High School.
Hello, my name is Riley Hurt. My pronouns are she, her. I'm going into my junior year and I'm homeschooled. TAB is also in continuing work on a variety of projects. We are updating our These Amazing Books suggestion list for teens this fall, and we are planning to submit a movie to the National 90-Second Newbery Project, which means we will create a short video that tells the entire story of a Newbery winning or honor book, and we will choose forward to share that with you when it's done. We are currently working to choose the right book. We are excited to talk with you more about the Take What You Need project proposal and our plans to place small bathroom items that people might need in holders in the floor 1 bathrooms. TAB members have been collecting brochures from local helping agencies and are poised and ready to help sort items and fill the pockets of the holders in the main apps as soon as the main library opens.
All right, thank you, Evie and Riley. Are there any questions for these wonderful teenagers? Francine?
So I am glad to hear that you've found a way to move forward with the Take What You Need suggestion that we heard about a number of months ago. And we have as an agenda item later in the meeting about whether you need any lab fund donation So I wondered, if you've had an opportunity to think about that, or maybe figure out a way to ask us for it or apply for it. Thank you.
Sarah?
Can I take this one? Because it's actually in your agenda packet. There's a proposal from Tab in your agenda packet.
I looked at the agenda packet. I must have missed it. Thank you.
It's all the way down at you have to scroll through, and it's kind of in between the meeting room policy stuff. I think it got squidged somehow. So
Well, I apologize for that.
No worries.
I thought, Francine, maybe you were asking them to actually give us a pitch. But whatever. Okay. I have a question. Are you going to go to other groups of any of the other library support groups to get money? And I want one of the team people to answer this.
I think currently we're starting with proposing to you, so then we can finally work out how we are going to propose and what we're going to say. And then I do believe that we will go to other groups within the library.
Okay. All right. Steve.
It sounds like a lot of work went into the screening and selection of the new members. So I applaud the work that you did for that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it shows a lot of compassion and something I personally like, direct action. Instead of just talking about it, you're actually doing some things to make the community better. So yes, my congratulations on that too. And we will vote on a donation later in the meeting. So if there aren't any more questions, we'll move to the chair's report, which is me. And I sent out an email today about giving information about the United Libraries online sessions. And I think I looked at some of the sessions and they looked pretty interesting about how to get board involvement, how to get involvement in your library. And I thought it was a way to maybe do a little more team building and get some people involved. It's all online. It's August, I want to say 17th and 18th. And is anyone interested in doing this? Could you raise your hand or something? Denise, I was thinking of you, Denise, when I put this out. I was like, this would be great for Denise. Anybody else? Okay, so I didn't want to say that we would reimburse somebody that wanted to go, because I think we have to vote on that, but we can vote on that later. So yay, Denise, I think that would be cool. And then we of course expect you to, report back and tell us all the things you learned. So you're muted, Denise. Were you talking to us?
Yes, I wanted to verify the time. I've got some commitments. Join us Wednesday, the 18th at 11 a.m. Eastern time. That's 8 o'clock in the morning, our time.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think if you register, then you can listen to stuff later. Well, anyway, we'll talk about it. Okay.
Okay, that sounds great. Yeah, I'd be interested in this. I'm putting in a zip line for my grandson. So I've already committed to that. But if I can do this also, that would be great.
All right. Thanks so much, Denise. All right. We'll get more information about that.
Thank you.
That is all my chair's report. City Librarians report. Go, Miss Sarah.
Thank you, Lois. So a couple of things. The most important that impacts this group is that the boards and commissions for the city of Salem are going to be remaining virtual for the foreseeable future. The mask mandate has been announced from the state. We are having, across the city meeting room issues, fitting everyone in, giving everyone enough space. So we're, and it's supposed to be a 6-foot radius around you for the social distancing. So we're thinking about that in terms of the library as a whole, but we're also obligated to stay with the city's requirement that all boards and commissions continue to meet via virtual meetings. Council is able to do some hybrid meetings, and hopefully we'll be able to go to hybrid meetings at some point where it's in person. Some of us might be in person and some of us might be online. But that's the biggest one, is that we'll have to continue doing Zoom meetings for the foreseeable future. Please let me know if you have any questions about that. We will continue to facilitate those and broadcast them to YouTube and get everything set up for you. So we'll continue to take care of that. And as soon as we do have the okay, because I know you all are very excited to meet each other in person and be in the meeting room, we will let you know that we can have that, whatever the next meeting is that we can't have in person or as a hybrid, I will let you know, I promise. And I'm sorry about that news, but that is the requirement for all of us boards and commissions. So the other thing is just that, I have the meeting room policy on the agenda a little bit later on. Hopefully you got a chance to review the new meeting and study room policy that's attached to the agenda packet. It has some significant changes. We also did an equity lens toolkit that the city HRC has approved it for themselves, Human Rights Commission. It's something that the city is looking at a little bit more broadly. And so we put that toolkit into the agenda packet as well. I'm happy to take any questions about any of that when we get to that point. I'm just looking for feedback or approval or a motion to, approve this from you going forward. And I'm sure there's probably things I'm forgetting, but they're all about probably moving in and getting us all set up. So please feel free to ask me any questions that you have about any of that stuff. I tried to give you as much info as I have, but I'm absolutely happy to answer questions.
Francine, do you have a question?
So I looked at the fee, document referred to with the meeting policy, and saw that there is language in there that I'm going to read to you.
Yeah.
It says library sponsored or co-sponsored programs and city departments are exempt from these charges. So I wondered how you reconcile that language, which is in the city budget document that was referenced in your report, with the elimination of library sponsored programs.
So the fee schedule had to be approved before we actually approve the meeting room policy. The fee schedule as a whole will have to be readdressed at some point later on. We just referenced it so that people would have an understanding of what the fees are. We can't change the fee schedule once it's passed. So that's how we're reconciling it. We're using this document as our basis for how we move forward with this. The fee schedule will have to readdress later on.
Even though it states library sponsored or co-sponsored?
Yep, that'll be something that council has. What?
And yeah, you no longer have that category. That was the whole discussion.
Right. And we'll have to address that with the next budget process. It's something that only gets approved and readdressed once a year during the annual budget process. So we will be taking back to council, some questions about fees and the fee schedule as a whole, and also asking them to look at the language, because our past practice has been not to ask people for documentation about their nonprofit status. And we wanted to make sure that we were pointing out the non-commercial or not-for-profit, that practice will continue. So we are also going to need to change that in the fee schedule when the fee schedule comes back around again. But our guiding document is going to be this document, and the fee schedule will be something that we address during the budget process.
Well, I have some additional questions, but I think I'll wait till we get to the voting part. I'm not sure how we would approve this if we don't know what the fee schedule is, but you can think about that.
The fee schedule is linked in it. So it's linked, but we used a link because in the future it could change. So that's where the fees, we're not changing fees right now. We're just approving the document and leaving it open for the fees to change in the future. Does that make sense, Lois?
Well, I mean, I feel like I would like to know what the fee schedule is, so I would know, is it exorbitant? Is it not? What is, you know?
Right. That's where the link goes to the fee schedule, because you can see it in there. It's in there. The fees are in there.
We just don't know that it will stay that at the rate.
Yeah. So and we'll probably have a link to a better document that we can change more easily. We just didn't want to rewrite the policy every time we needed to update the fee schedule. So we just wanted to have it link out to a document to, and hopefully we won't change the fee schedule too much, but hopefully we'll have some good questions about that and some good conversations with council next year. But the fee schedule is already in the city's budget for this fiscal year.
Sorry, so that started July 1st to July 1st, 2022?
June 30th, 2022.
Whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Any other questions for Sarah? Thanks, Sarah. Lovely as always. Friends, Carol, do you have a report?
I do. Let me see. So we're moving back to the library. We plan to be there and have our door open for the soft opening on September 1st. We don't foresee any problems with that. So that's what we aim to do and plan to do. We made a big plan for finally a book sale. Sadly, COVID once again strikes, and there's just really no feasible way to do it until some of the occupancy restrictions are lifted. So that is now, on a to be determined basis. The other thing that we're doing is, and actually, Lois, I could send you copies of these and then maybe you could circulate them to your group. We are recruiting new members to our board, and we finally have the main documents for that process ready. In fact, I hope that they are online, although I did not have a chance today to check. There will also be paper copies available to anybody who would just like a paper copy directly, and they will be in the bookstore. They'll be in Broadway until it closes on the 21st. And from the 1st, they'll be in the bookstore at the library. I want to give a shout out to Kate at the foundation, whom I consulted about how we wanted to do this and what kinds of things we needed to do. And she supplied me with some extremely helpful documents. They weren't, as they were written, directly applicable to our group, but with suitable rewriting, which I hope we accomplished suitably. That's the ultimate origin of those documents, and I just really like to thank Kate for that, because it was a true boon, and so was some of her advice over all of this, but it's actually underway. So if you know of anyone who might be interested in being on our board, please, please, please put a flea in their ear and is that the right expression? And let them know that they can check our website, and all the information should be there. I think that that's everything. Any questions?
Questions for Carol? Okay, Carol, send that document to me and I will send it out, or Clarissa will, or somebody will send it out to the rest of the board. And so I assume this is like qualifications or something that.
Actually, there's an announcement, which is just a paragraph saying, you know, we're looking for new board members, basically. There is an application, which, you know, asks people to think about what they could contribute to the board and give some information about what our board actually does, because we don't obviously operate the way you or the foundation does. So we wanted to make that clear. And we've also adopted a job description and a set of commitments on the part of board members. Pardon me.
I like that.
So the two main things would be those two documents, the application and the job description and commitments for board members.
Okay. Thanks, Carol.
My pleasure.
Gretchen, do you have anything from the foundation? You've told us about the art. What else is going on?
That's been the primary thing. Kate's been there, Eric, me, you know, getting the whole collection back up. And we have a
Great.
meeting in about a week's time, so as a board.
Lois.
Okay. Sarah?
Oh, just one second, Carol. I was just going to add on to what Gretchen said and say that they've done a fabulous job putting artwork together and curating a collection that blends the Salem Public Art Commission's collection and the Foundation's collection, and having all of those pieces tied together throughout the whole library. It's really beautiful. They've done an amazing job with that. So thank you to that group.
Thank you. I'll pass that on.
Yeah. Thanks, Gretchen. Okay, sorry, Carol.
But wait, I need to back up for a minute. The whole team at the library has been phenomenal. The whole time we've been working there, people are so, helpful. We're all trying to stay out of everybody's way. It was just, besides the physical atmosphere, the sort of the spirit of the library was just wonderful, wonderful. I can't say enough good things.
Carol, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes, actually, I have had a chance to see, not all of it, but quite a bit of the work that they did. And I basically just want to echo Sarah's remarks. It looks really terrific. And I saw a little bit of what they were doing and know what a hard job it was. So it's a fabulous result, you guys. Thanks, Gretchen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gretchen, for your work on that. You have a great eye and interest in art, and that's great that you got to put that to use. And Francine was on that committee to pick the artist for the art per percent, 0.5% for art. So thank you for that, Francine. Let's move on to discussion items. Strategic plan update. I was hoping that Sarah would say some things about the update in her talk, but I will say some things. The strategic plan steering committee met and did a DEI. Oh, wait, Catherine's going to talk about that. Anyway, we did a diversity, equity, inclusion session, and that was interesting. We're delaying the putting out of the community survey until September 1st, as I understand it. And I'm thinking maybe Sarah will talk about that a little more. And the whole shebang is being delayed a little bit. So that actually gives us more chance for input. That's the good thing. Catherine and I looked at the survey questions and thought it was okay. So do you have anything else you want to add about that, Sarah?
Yes. So we were having some trouble getting all of the translations ready. It turns out that the software that Coraggio, our consultant, is using only has Spanish, English, and Russian available. So we needed to do the paper surveys as well. And we were going to do paper surveys anyway, but so the Chukis and Marshallese are going to be in the paper surveys, but we were thinking about the fact that people are on vacation. We're going to be closed for 2 weeks in August. And all of these other factors that made us think, well, if we want to get any actual input from the paper surveys, we should make sure that we're taking a step back and putting the paper surveys out when we open the doors again. So it might not be exactly on September 1st, but it will be in that first week that we are open, that we will get the paper surveys out, we'll get the online surveys out, we'll be asking people for their input into those surveys. And we're also, as Lois said, we came up with a equity lens for the strategic plan itself, which is different. It's based on, it's related to, it honors the city's equity lens, but it is an equity lens toolkit that's just for this project in particular for us to think about as we move forward with this project. So so that's kind of where we're at with that. And yes, the whole process has been moved back some because I don't know why I thought I could do all of this at the same time and could make sure everything would happen, but I could not, it turns out. So yeah.
I have a question. I had a lot of patients who were from the Marshall Islands or Truckies, and and also Hmong, and many of them were not competent of reading in their own language. And I wondered if there might be is there any provision for people to respond to the survey like a verbal kind of?
Unfortunately, there's not for that, but we are including members of the Micronesian and those different islands. We have some groups that we're targeting for the one-on-one and the focus group conversations that we're having. So we'll be reaching out to those communities to get feedback orally as well.
There is a big Micronesian Pacific Islander celebration coming up. I think it's September 18th at Riverfront. And I think perhaps some of us could go there and ask people the questions. I don't know. I guess that would be assuming they know English. I don't know.
But we could definitely see if we could put the survey out there for them and see. I'm sure the city will have some sort of presence there, and we can make sure that the surveys are out there as well.
I could perhaps contact Councillor Leung and see what we could do or what the library can do about that, because I think that's a good point. The survey, as I understand it, is like the basis for our strategic planning, because we want to know what the community wants, and particularly people who aren't using the library.
The outreach in general, yes, yeah.
And outreach in general. So I plan on sending this out to all the groups that I'm in, and we really particularly need to try to get people who don't use the library, so we know what do you want,
Mhm.
and I can stop yelling. So, all right. Any other questions about the strategic plan? Did you, yeah, it's an undertaking. Catherine, you want to talk a little bit about DEI? I know it's been a long time.
I actually realized I did take some notes.
Yay!
Anyway, just I did walk out into the kitchen for a minute, but did somebody mention that the survey will be available both online and paper? Okay, so just a few words about the equity lens. So the consultant had suggested that we use an equity lens in developing the library strategic plan. So as Sarah mentioned, we looked at we had a Zoom meeting, and Lois and I and Sarah participated in that. And as Sarah mentioned, that we looked at the city of Salem's equity lens that they developed, and also that of the Oregon Libraries Association and the Human Rights Commission. So we had a few different templates to look at. I know some of us were asking what groups are we talking about? Are these just protected populations? And the answer is no, it's broader than that. It's disadvantaged groups, underrepresented groups. So that helped us see that it was a potentially broader group of people. And ultimately, using the DI lens through the strategic planning process should mean improving access to the library and programs. I struggled a little bit in translating some of these abstract concepts to more concrete, substantive actions that might be taken, but it was the start. Also, some of the questions I had were, does equity mean equality? And the answer is no, not necessarily. It means making sure people are on an equal footing and that there's an even playing field, and that might mean advancing the interests of some groups of people more to make up for gaps, historical gaps that exist in the process. So
you're kind of breaking up. I don't know what that is, but anyway, I just wanted to make you aware.
Yeah, sometimes my connection is a little bit like that. So anyway, so I'm eager to see how that translates into substance. And Sarah in the library did use that same equity lens that we developed in the process of developing the meeting room policy. So that's one example of how that lens could be used.
So we use the equity lens from the HRC, from the city. So we use we use the city's equity lens, which our lens was based off of. But our lens, it helped me see how we can use our lens that we developed with the steering committee for doing the planning. I think we're on a good path. We wanted to use the city one because we realized as policies go forward and as this, if this equity lens from HRC gets adopted more widely, all of the policies in the city might go through this similar process, and we wanted to be a little ahead of the game in using the city's and the Human Rights Commission's equity lens for that. So sorry, I probably didn't explain that very clearly. And I did change my mind at one point too. Yeah.
So just as a last note, I thought this is just me, one particular application of this equity lens might be looking at trying to get a more diverse library advisory board membership. Look into the future. So that's it.
Great, thank you, Catherine. Thanks for all your work on the steering committee and all your work in general, and always being a listening person to me in my ranting and raving. Thank you. Not that I do that very much.
No.
So on to elections. Woohoo! Next month, we have elections on our board. We will be electing a chair and a vice chair. And I think as a board, we need to think a little bit more. Here's my lecture. I think we need to think a little more about, like building succession on our board, bringing people along to maybe take more responsibility on the board. I'm not going to be the president forever, of course. Catherine's not going to be the vice chair forever. Step up if, like Denise may be doing these sessions. But also be thinking about this election coming up in September. Our bylaws say that we may appoint a nominating committee. I would like to hear whether people think we need to. I'm seeing this from Denise. Any other thoughts? No. Catherine, no. Francine, no. Sarah B, no. Okay. Well,
There's no, on the reaction icon, you can't do a thumbs down. The only thing that you can do is a thumbs up.
That's convenient.
But I concur about.
Okay, thank you, Gretchen. Well, I guess we're not going to do a nominating committee, so that's that. Any questions about the election? That is in September, on September 8th. Okay. Library tours to other libraries. This was just kind of a wild idea, and I think maybe Steve mentioned it at our last meeting. I don't know. Or I saw him at a party or something. Not that we talked about lab, of course. But would there, well, COVID may take that away from us. But I have gone down to Eugene and visited their library. Every time I go somewhere, I try to visit a library, and I think it's neat. I think it's kind of a cool thing to do, like see what they do that we don't do, or what we do that what they don't do, and maybe that's something to put in our hats and think about. That maybe we could do it in twos or threes, and of course we would not discuss lab business, but it'd be fun. And I know Catherine and Gretchen went at one point to Eugene, and they took pictures, and we still haven't seen those because we haven't been in the library at our conference board. Steve, did you have something to input?
Yeah, I was just, you kind of just said what I was thinking, which is, I think if any of us go either individually or more, do visit a library, I think it would be nice to, to get a report of some kind, and maybe just, this is some different thing. This is the way they're doing something differently, just so we can put it in, kind of something to think about. Or, there may be things that we're doing better than they are. But yeah, I think there's so much going on. The library is such an exciting thing. And my hope is that we get over this bump with COVID, and we can do that, and the libraries stay open. So yeah, I just think it's good to get new ideas, and that's a way to do it.
Well, when Catherine and I went down to Eugene, one of the things, and Catherine, I'll speak for you if you don't mind, was the branch libraries that were in, like malls. And one was in a not old age-wise, but a former bank. And so that's one of the things I'm really interested in, is seeing what are some of the larger communities, are they creating branch libraries? Because this is something I feel very strongly about. And that we don't have to build a new library, but we can, you know, sort of copy what Eugene is doing.
Catherine?
Yeah, Lois, you and I've talked about this, and we had thought that I could show these photos that I have from the Eugene Library and the two branches soon, because we thought we were going to be able to meet soon again. But since we're not, maybe we can find some way, maybe somebody has the technology that will allow me to figure out how to show them. Maybe we can go ahead and in a future meeting show these photos and have a chat as a group.
Sarah?
Anybody else who has? Go ahead.
I was just, sorry, Catherine. I was just going to say, I believe we do have the capability of doing screen sharing and showing. So like we could probably have Clarissa share those with everyone in the group for you. And then you could narrate.
That would be great if I'm not the one who is responsible, because there's no telling what could happen.
Yeah, I'll work with Clarissa on making sure that's actually the case and let you know. But I think that is, I believe that's the case.
Steve?
And another way to share it, you know, do that sharing, as long as we're still on Zoom, we could conceivably invite people from other libraries to pop in on one of our meetings and, you know, tell us what they're doing, what they'd like to do, what they're thinking about doing. So I'm really in favor of that kind of interchange and not reinventing the wheel. And it's so exciting what some places are doing. So, and some things, you know, are not feasible now, but if we have them in the future, if we have an intention to go in a certain direction, you know, I love the idea of having the small branch libraries, that kind of thing. I think is make it more accessible to people. So that's just one more way to share information.
Yeah, it sounds like, Steve, you might want to attend the inline sessions of United Libraries, but let me know.
Well, I would like to, but I have to, it's just that those two, it's 17th, 18th, and 17th is my partner's birthday. The 18th, I'm taking her to the airport. So I just don't know, you know, it's just going to be hard to squeeze that in. But if the stuff if it can be seen later on, then I would like to do that.
Okay, we'll explore that, and I think it would take a motion that lab could pay for your registration. So be thinking about that when we go to our action item, which we are about to do right now, unless anybody else wants to talk about anything.
I just want to add a simple, quick comment to what Steve was just saying, that when I was in Washington State, I was at a lake, very busy lake, and they had a pop-up library, and they had it like an ice cream truck. And
That's awesome.
It was very cool. And it was very popular. People
I bet.
were running to get books. And many people just borrowed books just for the time they were sitting there on their blankets to read to the kids, and then just turned them back in. It was very nice.
That's great. That's a great idea. Yeah. I've seen like little libraries that are on like a bike, and, you know, somebody, rides them to, like, say the Saturday market, and then they have books, and maybe the same thing, like somebody can just read, look through picture books for kids or something while they're there. So there's so many great ideas. All right, action items. Yay, we're almost done. Oh, I forgot. So we still have these financial reports that are hard to decipher. So if anybody loves a challenge or likes a puzzle or likes to look at numbers, let me know and I will help you. But in the meantime, they will just sit there. So send me an email. Catherine?
Yeah, I would just add to that, from time to time, we donate money to various causes. We don't get much incoming money anymore. So we like to be careful with our money. And it seems to us that our administrative costs are very high. And Lois and I can't figure out, even with the city's so-called help, we can't figure out why they're so high and what they're for. So if somebody likes a puzzle, we'd love to know if we're being overcharged or if these charges are fair so that the money we have can be actually used to go to the causes we.
Yeah. There's a lot of administrative costs, which, yeah. Okay. So action items that we have are teen library donation. So Riley and Evie told us a little bit about it. The Salem Librarians report gave a sort of budget of what they're doing. They're calling it's called Take What You Need, I believe. And it's there's going to be some kind of holder in the men and women's bathroom on the main floor, and with different hygienic or clothing to keep people warm. And the Teen Advisory Board is sponsoring this. So do we want to donate, and how much? Catherine.
I think we should support this project, and I would like to make a motion that the lab donate $200 towards this project.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Gretchen. Steve.
Is that how much they're asking for? Or
they're asking for $600 to $1,000. So I think I would like to see us give a little bit more than that, than 200.
I would just say that other entities have a lot more money than we do, and their money is regularly replenished, and ours isn't. So that's a thought. That's a consideration of mine anyway, including the Library Foundation, which typically funds these kinds of projects. What do other people think?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
The items that are on there, this is a wonderful idea, but many of them need to be replenished. And I am wondering where the funds are going to come from. And for the lip balm that is taken, one needs to be returned. Is there a plan for that?
Riley or EB, can you address that?
Yeah, I'd love to answer that. So we do plan on having a donation box and a list of things that people can donate. So that will help us kind of replenish those supplies. We might occasionally need funds from other places, but pretty much we should be able to manage with the donations we get.
And you do, Steve, I'll get to you in just a minute. And you do plan to, are you planning to ask the Salem Library Foundation or the Friends for funds, Riley?
Yes, I believe we are.
Okay. Steve.
Well, it seems like this is a new thing. I think it's a really good idea. I'd sort of propose that we go a little higher, maybe 300, which is half of the base that they're asking for, with the possibility that down the road, depending on our finances and how it's going, that we could give more in the future. So I would move that we make it 300.
I would second that, but I think we've already moved something.
Yeah, well, so we had a motion, but no second, so it dies for lack of a second.
It
So
had a
we
second.
have,
It had a
Gretchen
second.
seconded
oh, it
it.
did have a second. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Do you want to amend? Would that be a friendly amendment if Steve upped it to 300, Catherine?
Okay.
Okay, so that's a friendly amendment to move that we would change the amount to 300. So first we vote on the, no, it's a friendly amendment. So we have a second. So now, unless there's any more comment or discussion, we will vote. Okay, so the motion is that the lab will donate $300 to the Take What You Need project. All in favor, thumbs up or say yes. Anyone opposed? Okay, I don't see any. All right. Okay, Riley, would you tell the TAB people that we are donating $300? And, oh, I guess, Steve, did you want to add that we would revisit this? Well, no, then we have to take another, vote. So why don't we just verbally say we're going to revisit it?
Well, we can if they come back, then we would revisit. I don't think we need to initiate the revisit.
Okay, sounds good.
And just
All
to
right,
point out, based on their budget, the $300 will give them the startup money they need for the things that would be consistent, which are the slips for the lists of things, and then they would need to find other money for the actual things to be given away. So I think it's a logical amount to get to.
Great. All right, so that's done. We took a vote. Great. Now we have the meeting and study room use policy. Sarah, I read this and I have some questions, and I want to make sure that the board knows when we vote on this, this is giving our approval to the city council. Is that correct?
Right. So we're giving it to city council as an information item. If they choose to pull it up and make any other changes, it is technically an administrative policy, but we want to make sure that you guys have had a chance to review it and that you also believe in this policy as well.
All right, okay, I'm gonna ask my questions, and then if other people want to ask questions. So the fee schedule is the fee schedule that's linked to the policy, correct?
Right.
Okay. There is mention of partnerships as opposed to sponsorship. So what would be like an example of a partnership under this new policy?
So any of the groups that have formerly been sponsored can apply for partnerships, but they're discrete one-time as each program comes along. So let's say Camerata wanted to do a particular program that also tied into our Salem Reads or otherwise fit under our general guidelines for sponsorship or for partnerships, partnership, then we could work with them on how to make that happen. And we would be involved with it completely.
And that would be like a one-time thing?
For each, it wouldn't be the only time they could ever apply, but per application, it would be a one-time thing. There could be a small series, like we've had our Exploring Together series and things like that. But overall, it would be a one-time set of programs.
So,
yes, Catherine.
Wait a minute, I'm the chair.
Sorry. You are the chair. I'm sorry, Lois.
Yeah. Catherine?
Is there a greater demand for rooms than there are rooms available right now?
There has been, absolutely, in the past. And right now we, because of COVID, we aren't sure when we're going to be able to actually let people start using the meeting rooms. The study rooms, we think we can start with some guidelines around them right away, but the meeting rooms are going to be potentially a while out. We were planning on October 1st, but we may have to re-examine that depending on how things go with COVID. But yes, we are anticipating a very big demand.
What? Steve, go ahead.
I'm not 100% clear on the policy. Does the policy eliminate Eric's thing from being from happening, or is Eric's thing something he could apply for on a one-time, each time basis?
So it doesn't eliminate it from happening. Eric has two options. Eric can work with his group to rent a room under the non-commercial fee schedule, whatever room that group would choose. So that's one option. Scheduling with 90 days out. Every 90 days is the start of the time period that you can reserve. And then the other option would be also in addition to, or apply to, if they have a particular travel program that they feel like really fits within our mission, vision, values, and what we're trying to do with programming, and they apply for it, then yes, we would work with them if it's approved, if it goes through the approval process.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If I could just clarify what we're going to be voting on then. So this is, I mean, I understand that the fee schedule is linked, but are we voting on the, as that as part of this? Because okay, because my biggest concern with this is the discrepancy in terms of fees between the ones who have the actual nonprofit designation and other non-commercial groups. I would really like to see that those other non-commercial groups not have a higher rate than.
Right. So just to be clear, what we're doing with this is saying we're not going to ask you for that paperwork. Again, it's part of our policy. It was always a part of our procedure. We're not going to ask for that. We're going to continue with that practice. If you tell us that you're not-for-profit or nonprofit, we will honor that. However, we will also need to eventually change that in the fee schedule as well to make that clear in both documents and make them work with each other. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm still probably missing something cognitively. So
I just want to make sure then that means if it is not a commercial enterprise, whether or not they have the government status, they can pay the lower rate.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Carol?
Sorry, Lois, may I throw a question in here? It's very slight.
Sure.
I was wondering when I read it whether book clubs, or I guess that's what they're called, book clubs, where do they fit in the various groups? And given that people can't have recurring reservations in study rooms, if there were a book group that were just say 4 people who would fit in a study room, COVID aside, could there be an exception to that? Or, I mean, who do they count as?
They can still reserve in advance. It's not a recurring reservation, but they could still reserve in advance to get the study room. And there's also the plaza room would be a possibility. And there's also other spaces and nooks around the library that they might, I mean, it's going to be a very different space and feel very different. There might be spaces just spread throughout the library that people might be interested in. And then of course there will be the library presented book clubs as well. But it's a great question. Thank you, Carol.
So say Eric's group. So if they wanted to meet monthly, they can apply every 90 days.
Yeah.
So would that mean they could meet 3 times with that application, or what?
Yes. So they can make as many reservations as they can support, and that are open. It's not just 3 times. It's a rolling 90 days. So as dates become available, they can book them.
Oh,
any group.
okay.
Yeah.
And like the same with Camerata Musica, if they wanted to do concerts twice a month, they would have to make those reservations continually and have it be available. Correct? I mean, so in other words, the library wouldn't hold those dates open if they hadn't reserved it.
Right. Yes. If they hadn't reserved it and confirmed the reservation within that period, then yes, it would be open again. Yeah.
Okay, I have 2 other questions and then people can talk. Who decides if the request is approved?
Library administration.
And who is that?
So for room request, just room reservation request, Clarissa is our person. She does all of that. And we do have some staff from other areas that help as well, but Clarissa deals with the payments and making sure that everything's finally done. And Clarissa, if I'm getting anything wrong, feel free to jump in and say if I'm wrong. But yeah, so Clarissa takes care of reservation stuff broadly. For study rooms, the desk staff, whoever's staffing the desk will help folks with their study rooms.
So Clarissa can decide whether a group is appropriate?
Clarissa
I'm not
saying
that Clarissa can't do that, but I'm just asking, like, there's all these things, like they have to follow all these things. So how does she check that out?
So she's been doing this. That part she's been doing forever. That's not new. That's just a procedure that she follows to make sure that the room was clean, all of those things. And she just takes the reservation, puts it in tentatively, confirms it when the group pays for it, and make sure that they have access, and the desk staff work with her to make sure that that whoever the group is has access when they've made that reservation. None of that part's really changing that much.
So who decides if it's equitable?
We're not making any decisions about if it's equitable.
I thought that that's what this whole thing was about. Like,
right. What we're trying to do
an equity lens.
Right. So we're not deciding what groups get to use the rooms. That's never, groups using the rooms is whatever groups use the rooms, and whatever groups, it's a first come, first serve basis. What we're saying is the recurring things and some groups are free and some groups aren't. That was the piece that was not as equitable as we would like to be, and not giving the same opportunity across the board. So in terms of deciding what groups use the rooms, we're not doing that. If you make a reservation, you have to say that you're not a library program. We put that into the policy as well, but we're not deciding who gets to use it.
If I can interject with just another follow-up question, Lois, I think also what you may be asking is who decides whether something is going to be a partnership, not just, yeah.
Oh,
thank you, Sarah.
So that's a great question. And we actually have an outreach and programming team that has a checklist. Sonia's a part of that programming and outreach team and can talk about this process probably better than I can, if she would like, about what that looks like. Do you have anything to say on that, Sonia?
Sure. Yeah, so Clarissa is the person who would handle room rentals, which means that people are scheduling the room for whatever use they would like to use it for and paying a fee appropriate to the parameters of the fee schedule. The other type of program that we do is library generated or in library partnerships. And so many of the library partnerships will actually bubble up from our programming team. We're looking to fill a particular need, answer a particular type of question, meet a community need. And so we would go out and look for a partner. But we do open up the possibility that an organization can come to us and propose that we partner on a program. The big difference between the sponsored programs and the partnered programs are that sponsorships were happening without any staff involvement in terms of planning the program and no staff presence at the actual program. And our partnerships, we will be very involved in planning the content, making sure that it aligns with what we're trying to accomplish, and very active in promoting those, marketing them to our community. So really it's an extension of what we do as programmers anyway, but in this case, we're partnering with another group to bring in expertise, bring in skills that enhance our, that go beyond our abilities as library programmers.
So I know there was an event, well, whenever we could still go to the library, probably 2 years ago now, where a very sort of militant group used the library. So if that group just puts in a request to rent the place, then they get it. Is that correct?
Yes, it was a room rental, and any community group that that puts in a rental request, pays the fee, and is within that 90 days may use our rooms.
And what we're trying to avoid here, Lois, is sponsorship. We don't want to be asked and have no ground to stand on to say no to a request from that group for sponsorship. Right? That's where a lot of this policy actually kind of came from, that being a concern that we raised amongst ourselves and wanted to make sure that we could address.
Okay, I'm just asking these questions because I mean this is policy, and if as a board we approve this, then it goes to the city council with our approval. So I just want to make sure we know what we're voting for. Absolutely. And on. There's a part at the end about monitoring the success. Who will do that?
The outreach and programming group.
The library programmers who are partnering with the agency.
And will they issue a report?
We can.
Yeah.
It will be a part of our, there will be some reports that are a part of our, statistics gathering generally, but also after a year of this meeting room policy being in place, we can come back and issue a report on what we've found with it.
Are there any other questions? Steve?
Yeah, I think building in an annual report is important. I think everything should be reviewed, new and old policies. So I would hope that is included.
And there is a piece about reviewing the policy, so we could make the annual report as a part of the review.
Right, that would be good. My question is for Sarah and Sonia. What are your positions on the policy?
Well, I helped write it. I was very much part of the team that wrote it. And I do think it takes us in a really solid, really positive direction. And the elimination of the sponsorships frankly, is an idea that was initiated with me. So it was seeing that our sponsored programs were tying up rooms month after month after month, and we were frequently turning away other groups that would be interested in using those rooms. And we were really driven by a desire to see more groups, more people have access to our library, and be able to be part of this community venue.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I will just say I was very pleased when the programming and outreach group brought up that we should probably take a look at this in us returning to this new space and having a very new building, and having had that issue with the Proud Boys right before we left our building, that we wanted to make sure that we had a solid ground. And I will say that this was a staff-led effort, and Sonia and the programmers did an astounding job making the staff-led effort happen. They also were the ones who did much of the equity lens checklist that you saw the question and answers on. And they brought up some of the points, like it needs to be translated into Spanish for sure. And that we need to also, we've actually been doing efforts to rewrite it to a lower reading level because we wanted it to be more accessible across the board. So, so I give staff complete credit for the, this actually is possibly going to make their jobs, especially Clarissa, harder. And so I give them credit for actually wanting to go forward with making these changes and trying to be more equitable and seeing more groups not be as turned away from being able to use our spaces. So
you're in favor?
Yes.
Thank you.
It might also be helpful to note that our team, before we started doing any writing or rewriting of this policy, reviewed the meeting room policies of libraries across the country and looked for those best practices, those common threads, and we really reflected all of the best practices and experiences from libraries that are larger and smaller and comparably sized to us. So we did a very, very careful literature review as the basis for this.
They did indeed. They put a lot of hard work into this.
Any more discussion?
I'd like to ask a quick question of Sonia about, Sonia, would you give an example of what a partner is as opposed to the other type of group?
It's not by group type so much as it is the relationship that we have with that group while we're preparing the program. Again, it would be a matter of not just saying, okay, you can use our room, do what you will in it, but we are very actively involved. We're at the table when the content of that program is being prepared. We're reviewing the slides ahead of time, and we're actually at the program. We would staff those programs with library staff so that we're there to make sure that we deliver what we said we were going to deliver.
And that is what a partner is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we would be a very active partner in planning and delivering the program, as opposed to simply opening the door.
Do you have an example of who that might be?
Again, it's not necessarily a particular group. It really could be any community group that has content that we think would be of interest to the public.
And I think one of the important differences here is that it's for a particular program. So it's not that you're a partner with a group and they can do lots of things throughout, the future. It's that you're partnering with this particular group for this particular event. So it's not the kind of thing that would lock up a room month after month after month.
That's a really big part of it. An example from previous times before we closed down, we partnered with actually multiple agencies and delivered a short series on dying well. where we examined different aspects of preparing for end-of-life issues. And we did that very much in partnership and conversation with the hospice, Willamette Valley Hospice, is that what they're called? In Salem, we had Kaiser Permanente at the table, we had Salem Health at the table. And so one of the things about those partnerships is that we're able to ensure that all voices and perspective, you know, we represent a variety of voices and perspectives in these conversations as well.
Sonia, would Master Gardener in the past fall into that?
If the Master Gardeners had a particular program that we felt intersected with community interest at that time, we would certainly have that conversation. But again, we would not be saying, bring your monthly program to us and you know, we would guarantee that room month after month. It would really be based on the topic of the month and then our capacity to partner and be involved in preparing that. So. Our capacity is a big part of the question too. Like our staff does a lot of different things. And so we also need to examine everything through the lens of like, do we have staff who can engage in these partnerships?
Anybody else? Okay, do I hear a motion?
I move to give our support for the new policy.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve this new policy and a second. All those in favor say what you want or do. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and those opposed, give a sign. Okay, got that. So the policy passes, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sarah, this goes to the city council then as an information item with our approval, which
Yes.
doesn't mean that it couldn't be amended or, you know, something.
Right.
I mean, the city council will do what
Yes.
they will.
Right.
Okay, so done with that. Did anyone perhaps want, what, Sonia?
Thank you.
Oh, did anyone perhaps want to make a motion about reimbursing people who will go to the inline United Libraries session? I don't think it's appropriate for the chair to do that. So, Denise?
How much does it cost?
I think it's $69
9.
for the individual, and if more than, you know, a certain number, it's like, I want to say like 100 and something. So it's not a huge expense. I know it's $69 for an individual.
I see that it is pretty open schedule. You're not committed to that particular day. You can attend the recorded sessions. It's once a month.
All right. Well, I do not hear a motion, so I guess we will not reimburse.
Oh, I thought I was motioning. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So what do you move?
I'd like to make a motion that one or two people who might apply for the inline sessions under the American Library
United Libraries.
Okay, that they be reimbursed the $69 per person for signing on.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Gretchen and also Francine had her hand up. Okay, so is there any more discussion?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't see the details on it. So this is an ongoing thing? Like a monthly thing, you said, Denise?
Sarah, it appears that it is 12 sessions total.
12 sessions. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify the cost of it. 12 sessions. Thank you.
Oh, I think the $69 includes all 12 though.
That's what I meant. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
And I think you can, take those sessions at your leisure. I think so.
Yes. Yes.
All in favor of Denise's motion, say aye or thumbs up. Okay, we got it. All right, great. All righty, we're done. Yay. So we'll see you next time, September 8th, and have a great rest of the summer. In spite of COVID or whatever, we can go outside and have fun. We can read on our deck. So be joyful. See y'all in